As far back as I can remember, I've always been fascinated with how things work. As a child, I could be found not playing outside, but tearing a toy apart just so I could study the parts and pieces that made it into what it was. I've also found it was easier to understand the movements and purpose of things when you understand the components that are used to make them. Today, I would like to introduce you to the career that has spearheaded my lifelong passion of problem solving and critical thinking, mechanical engineering. Are you comfortable right now? Do you by any chance have the heat on? Have you ever wondered just how or who was able to come up with the idea of having centralized heat in your house? Do you own a vehicle? Do you enjoy driving down the road with the radio up and the windows down? All of these things were made possible by mechanical engineering, and I was able to combine my love for problem solving and critical thinking when I started my job in the maintenance department as a maintenance technician. This position allowed me to become versed in advanced components and technical makeups of machines. This also propelled my interest in pursuing a career in mechanical engineering. For instance, how many of you still wear mechanical watches? The first wearable mechanical watch was invented in 1510. According to a blog on Forbes wrote by Olson, the oldest mechanical clock can be found in the Salisbury Cathedral in France, dating back to the 1300s. Mechanical engineering is deeply rooted in human history, and we continue to reap the benefits daily. Today, I would like to go over applications of mechanical engineering, roles of mechanical engineering, and lastly, we will look at the history of mechanical engineering. Some of the most beneficial applications of mechanical engineering are modes of transportation and power generation. Today, our means of travel are very diverse with the most common being the internal combustion engine. Arguably, the most revolutionary means of travel was invented in 1775. This was the steam engine. It was originally invented and used to power boats and eventually then got incorporated into locomotives. Engines are not the only invention that generates power. In fact, for power generation, we're going to look at a much larger scale. With the invention of wind turbines, we've been able to harness the power of the wind to convert it to electrical energy. With the advancements in solar paneling, we've been able to harness the power of the sun and use it to do the exact same thing. All of these inventions start with mechanical engineering. At this point, you may be asking yourself, what are some of the roles or subfields in mechanical engineering? One role is environmental impact mitigation. In this field, the engineer specializes in finding ways to minimize the environmental impact of the energy systems that have been put in place. For instance, what will the environmental effects be if a hydroelectric dam was to be built at a certain location? They also work to minimize the amounts of emissions released into the atmosphere. We see evidence of this in hybrid vehicles. Another important role is that of manufacturing processes in which machining and casting take place. For instance, manufacturing plants such as Borg Warner machine different components in the assembly process of turbos. According to the Institution of Mechanical Engineers, engineering has origins dating back before the 17th century. Lastly, we're going to look back at the history of mechanical engineering. As previously stated, mechanical engineering predates the 17th century. As far back as 6000 BC, we see hieroglyphs, paintings depicting the invention of the Egyptian canoe. While this is impressive, if we look at 4000 BC, the first wheeled vehicle was invented. This intriguing vehicle had only 2 wheels and 4 axles. These examples of engineering ingenuity bring us to the world of formal engineering. According to the Institution of Mechanical Engineers, formal engineering was established in the year 1883. It is interesting to point out that there were only 2 engineering majors available at that time. These include marine engineering and locomotive engineering. It is not hard to see the need for one of these disciplines required the need for the other discipline. In conclusion, we have looked at the roles and applications and history of mechanical engineering. Can you imagine where we would be without these advancements? Through minimizing the environmental impact of energy systems and manufacturing processes, to the modes of transportation and power generation, we have mechanical engineers to thank. From the dawn of man to the formal educative platforms we have today, mechanical engineers have always been on the forefront of our societal advancements. The awe-inspiring contributions that have been donated to society by mechanical engineers are easily overlooked and taken for granted. I would like to challenge each one of you to take a moment and reflect on the information I've presented you every time you get in your car or even go to adjust the thermostat in your house. Thank you.